Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of the Lounge Lab, the official podcast for the Skilla project. For those of you that don't know me yet, I'm Konstantinos Georgiou, the project manager of Skilla and the host of this podcast. And today we'll be discussing a very interesting topic that concerns the youth of most countries, and not only the youth, of course, but many target parties. And this is the entrepreneurial mindset. How does someone starts a business? How does someone adopts a mindset that wants to succeed and create something meaningful? And how can skills and upskilling and the education fit into that? So, together with me today to discuss this topic, I have Dr. Dionysios Kehagias, Research Director at CERTH IPI, which is also a partner in the Skilla project, and Dimitrios Tsoukalas, who is a senior researcher in CERTH. Welcome. I'm very happy that you're here with me.
Thank you, Konstantinos, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and discuss such an interesting topic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you also from my side. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So we can. I will begin with the most pressing, let's say, topic that anyone would consider in this subject. So the role of education. So do you think that the current education system, particularly, I mean, we can talk about Greece, of course, because we're from Greece, but we can take it this EU-wide. Do you think that the current education system helps or hinders entrepreneurial thinking? Can someone have the notion to create something from scratch just from education alone?
Well, if I may speak, I think that especially for Greece, the current educational system, I wouldn't say that it fosters entrepreneurship in general. On the other hand, I think it is built on an old-fashioned structure. And the idea of the educational system is to mostly provide knowledge about different topics of interest, maybe. But there is no, let's say, any structured way of teaching entrepreneurship or anything similar.
So,
as a general statement, of course.
Yeah, that's a good point. But so, given that we do not have any specific courses or skills, what should we do about that? So, can we teach something or employ some methods to spark the entrepreneurial mindset in students, or maybe emphasize on some skills about that?
If I may.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I think that the constant problem of today's educational system is memorization without application. What we're constantly seeing, especially in Greece, but I think in most European countries, is a growing mismatch between what formal education provides and what the labor market actually demands. So not just in terms of hard skills like coding or machine learning or data analysis and so on, but more broadly in soft skills like critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, and so on and so forth, which those skills are what we often may call entrepreneurial mindset. So it's not just starting business, but I would say it's a way of thinking that whether you're a software engineer, or healthcare worker, and so on. So what we need to teach our kids at schools, it's this way of thinking, and how can we actually the question may become how can we integrate these skills earlier in the educational journey, how to redesign curricula, how to promote such skills such as experimentation, open-mindedness, critical thinking, and so on and so forth.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I agree on this because we also see it in the analysis we do on SkillUp that soft skills are way more important today than hard skills. I mean, okay, hard skills can be acquired by anyone really with the proper courses, with the proper education, but soft skills are something that is cultivated through the education, through experiences, through proper teaching of skills. So I think that soft skills should be the primary focus of building an entrepreneurial mindset. But what I also want to discuss is that we hear a lot about the skills of the 21st century. I mean, mostly AI, let's say. And so, do you think that we're actually teaching skills that match our century, or maybe we teach outdated concepts that cannot be translated into business?
Yeah, I think this is a very good point. In my opinion, the curriculum is outdated the one that the current educational system is built on.
Mhm.
I think it has its roots from the 50s or the 60s.
Yeah,
And of course, it has been evolved over the time, but over the years. But again, it's not, I would say, modernized in a proper way. Of course, there are some, let's say, more updated topics that are being taught. However, I think what is necessary is a totally radical, let's say, restriction of the educational content. So it's not only the content, of course, it's the whole structure. The structure is based on the idea of teaching some interesting hard skills, things that every young person needs to have in order to deal with the labor market. So the labor market is something also is a living organism. Okay, it means
sure,
it's
of course.
constantly evolving and it's changing over the years. So I'm not sure if there is a connection between the current status of the labor market, the current and also the future needs against the educational system and what the school teaches towards this direction. And of course, it's not only the needs of the labor market, it's also the mindset that of the citizens that we want to create out of school. The young people need to have modern skills,
Of course.
soft skills, as Dimitrios said, I mentioned earlier, but also a new way of dealing with the situation that they have to face when they are youngsters, when they go out not only to the labor market but to the real life. They need to have a set of real soft skills that are capable of allowing them to deal with the challenges of life in general.
Mhm. No, yeah, I agree on that. So, okay, let's say because we talk a lot about the entrepreneurial mindset. So, let's say that we three here, let's say that the Ministry of Education says, okay, our curriculum is outdated, so help us to restructure it. So, if we had to teach, let's say, the entrepreneurship, where where do we begin? I mean, which concepts, which values, and maybe which way of thinking should we transfer to the students, or maybe what habits or attitudes should we teach the students? Maybe should we make them rely on business plans or pitch decks, or it's something else entirely to have this mindset?
Yeah, if I may, I think that regarding the curriculum instructors, we need to start small. Somehow introduce learning based on maybe projects or simulating real world challenges. We could bring mentors from industry. We could bring entrepreneurs from startups into the classrooms. Somehow shift this assessment of students as it is right now, which is based on memorization, towards I don't know, maybe experimentation or creativity and so on. So, and also, of course, to somehow get the students familiar with failure as a normal part of the learning process, because as you know, um accepting failure is a very important element of not of course only the entrepreneurial mindset, but in general, because we all, at least I grew up thinking that failure is something bad and should be avoided. I was taught to be a perfectionist, so
Yeah,
sorry,
we,
I'm sorry.
we all did.
I'm self-reflecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that kids need to understand nowadays that as early as possible that failure is an essential somehow part of the learning process and the self-improvement process.
So do you think that maybe we could?
If I may add,
Oh, yes, of course.
sorry,
Yeah,
because
of
very
course.
interesting topic and just something additional came into my mind, and I would like to add to the discussion that I totally agree, of course, with Dimitris. And I would say that today's school does not promote the, let's say, acceptance of failure. On the other hand, it treats failure as a bad thing that and the pupils are meant to be punished if they do something wrong. This is totally, of course, outdated way of teaching, and it's one of the things that needs to be radically replaced by a new method of treating errors. And in addition to that, I would like to say that the today's school needs also to promote teamwork and not grow individuals in a competitive manner, because this is what today's, I mean, most successful schools, high schools, etc., is the ones that produce successful students. Okay, with high scores during
Yeah.
the national exams. This is not the idea here. We need to promote teamwork, because even for building an enterprise, you need to have this mindset of working together with different people with different skills, and to promote also complementarity, to understand, to let the student understand that the complementary skills are necessary in order to make something succeed,
Yes, of
to
course.
make something successful.
Yeah, that is very
So these are
important.
my
Agree.
2 cents that I would like to add. Yeah.
Hmm. No, I mean, complementarity is very, 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 very important because I remember when I was back in the day when I had participated in some business plan competitions, and actually we had won some places and some mentoring, and it didn't go anywhere because of the timing, but it was an interesting experience. And what they always said is that part of the reasons that our team got so far was that exactly that, the complementarity. So I think that maybe this is something that we should try to teach in schools, that everyone is useful in his or her own way, and that combining the usefulness of an individual is more important than having specific knowledge and being competitive about it. So I think that that's something that should be integrated in the curriculum of the school. Okay, and then okay, we talked about we mentioned mentors and teachers earlier for bringing mentors in the class and uh, try to stimulate some way of thinking in the students. So um, uh, let's talk about your experiences. Have you ever had someone who shifted your perspective on what's possible in entrepreneurship? Someone a value that was transferred to you, or an example, a life lesson, let's say.
If I may. One of my PhD supervisors encouraged me, to think independently, and I also had another one PhD supervisor, which is Dionysios, who is here, that encouraged me, and he's constantly encouraged me to think, as an entrepreneur. So, yeah, this is from my side, and also. During my PhD, I would say that I had a major, leap in my mindset because, I started as a software engineer and I had to somehow upskill my, my knowledge because I had to also shift to the artificial intelligence and machine learning part. So it was a totally great experience, and I'm thankful to my supervisors for pushing me towards that direction.
So that's interesting because you say that you upskilled your mindset for your PhD, which is also what I'm doing because I'm also doing a PhD and I'm trying to think differently, let's say. But so can entrepreneurship be seen as a form of reskilling? So do we should we see it as a way to acquire new skills? Should we see it as a way to acquire a new mindset, or is it a different thing altogether? I mean, in the way that it should be taught to students. I mean, should the teacher come in and say, okay, you'll get some new skills, or okay, you'll get a new mindset? So, what's the proper way to um, present it to students?
I think it's both mindset and skills. Of course, it's also very important if someone motivates a student to go, let's say, through a particular path, which ultimately will lead to entrepreneurship or dealing with this with creativity in general that could also lead to do the same way. Um, and when it comes to me, I can remember from high school there was a teacher who inspired me to deal with STEM, with science and physics, and especially it was a teacher of physics. And I was very inspired because at that time, when I was a student in high school, which means by late 80s, early 90s,
Okay.
it was not always the case that the schools had the right equipment to show things to the students. Because one also interesting and important principle that needs to be applied in today's education, of course, many schools apply this, is learning by doing. Okay.
Mhm.
So I remember that we had this physics laboratory, and the teacher was, teaching the, the electromagnetic power, and they had an experiment there with a magnet, and challenged every student to try to move the magnet away in order to teach, let's say, how powerful is the magnetic force.
Yeah.
So this was just a small example that shows that in order to inspire someone to do something, I mean, he inspired me the love of physical science. But in general, um, experimentation and dealing I mean, coming to hands-on practice, practical things, creativity. These are things that inspire students to work a particular way that will lead ultimately to entrepreneurship. I think it's a long way to go there, but the real thing is to have the right let's say stimuli in order to make pupils at a young age to love this, and uh, then everybody will find his or her way
Yeah.
somehow. But the idea is to give a lot of you know intensives,
Yeah.
because this is not the case in a typical school where a typical curriculum where no experimentation exists, and there's also just a sterile knowledge that is being taught. So this has to change, of course, and with this also comes the change of mindset, especially when students are dealing with real experimentation, with creating a real project, getting used to work as a teamwork, and accepting the difference and the different skills, and understanding that in order to build something beautiful, you need to work with a lot of skills. Different skills are required. So this is, I would say, if I was asked what is needs to be to change also at schools, I would say that we need to have more tangible, let's say, procedures that involve all students as a teamwork, and everybody contributes by putting their best effort and what they know better to do.
You would be a great teacher, actually. I mean, I listened very carefully. Okay, but and that's very good that you say these things, because and it leads to my next question that so are we asking too much from teachers? I mean, okay, of course we want to infuse the entrepreneurial mindset to students, but should the teacher adopt the role of the upskiller and the career guide? Should we maybe have the teacher teach the course and then bring someone else to do that task, or should we do a combination of these things when teaching this particular mindset? Or I mean, will a teacher be able to cope with this task, or maybe he or she will be exhausted and give up? So,
Yeah, if I may.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, we can expect teachers to also, somehow guide the careers, but of course not alone. But with the right support, yes. I mean, teachers can be, let's say, somehow the bridges between, the education and the real world. So, of course, they could, introduce. Uh, I don't know, courses with mentors from industry, as I said earlier, or startuppers and things like that. So yeah, we can expect from teachers to guide careers, but not alone.
No, that's
Yes,
encouraging.
and also, and if I may add, also teachers could collaborate with each other as well,
Yeah.
because we have this picture that the teacher that teaches history has never gets in touch with a mathematician. This
Yeah,
is
that's
should
true.
not be the case, however, because if we change the model to a more holistic teaching model, which means that if you want to teach history to the student, to the pupils, I mean, especially younger ones, the elementary school, we can have a holistic approach, which means that through experience, we can let the pupils experience different situations through which they learn history, mathematics, language, everything through a single project. This is something that today's school is too far away from currently. But this is another approach, a holistic approach, which doesn't separate the various, let's say, courses. It combines, not always, but in some collaborative, let's say, efforts with teachers from different disciplines working together in order to achieve the holistic result. This contributes also to the creation of the mindset that we discussed earlier.
That's very interesting. So we're talking about the creation of like hybrid courses that, for example, let's say that I want to investigate Archimedes. So I should apply the mathematical principles and then study the history behind him. And when I present my research, have a complementary presentation. That's very interesting because it indeed it makes you think that it's not only math or history; it's a combination of these things. Like business is a combination of more than one. Okay, that's very interesting actually. Okay, so and to my next point, okay, all these things are very good, but usually we see 17, 16 or 18 year olds that want to start a business and they have no clue what to do and where to start. So what advice would we give them? Some key points, let's say, that you should do this and this and this, and you will probably be successful. Not necessarily business advice, just some general advice for the mindset.
Yeah, if I may. I would say that kids, if they want to learn more, they should do more trying instead of somehow waiting for the perfect plan, because they need to start early, test things early, and don't wait for permission to do so, because as I said, we don't need to be perfectionists. We need to try, fail, and try again, and it's a constant loop. So.
Mhm.
Start small and start early. This would be my advice.
Okay, that sounds good. And but that's the catch, though. I mean, I have a two-part question because we live in a society that has two different ways of thinking. I mean, on the one hand, you have the parents that say to the kid that you should be creative and do more stuff, and you're not doing enough. And on the other hand, we have parents that are like, "Who are you to change the world and just do your job and shut up?" Let's say. So, how do we? How can parents and schools support creativity without pushing kids to exhaustion? And on the other hand, how do we change this mindset that you won't be the one to bring change? You shouldn't do anything.
Yeah, I think that if I may, I think that we need to somehow, assess the students and award them based on outcomes. Sorry, based on progress and the process, and not so much on outcomes. So it's like allowing them to explore things without fear or without being wrong or without this sense of failure that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Okay,
not
that's
pressure
really
them. Yeah.
yeah. Pressure is a huge factor. I think that we all had pressure in our youth, so I think that we should not do that in our kids at least. And just a final question for encouraging our youth to be more entrepreneurial oriented. So, how can we balance the natural curiosity for learning new skills and new things with the need to teach skills that are indeed market relevant? So, how do we bring this balance of that? I encourage that you should seek things by yourself, but I will also teach you necessary skills without making you feel restricted or limited.
Well, this requires, let's say, a general education, a general curriculum that will teach the primary, let's say, skills that everybody needs to have, um, including also some new topics that were not included in the curriculum of the past, like, for example, the principles of economy.
Mhm.
Of course, not. I'm not talking about economical theory, but what I can see now is that students they finish school, they don't know how the world um, operates.
Yeah, that's true.
So they need, for example, to know some basic principles, like uh, even more practical things. But essentially, I would advise the kids today to chase their dreams, to not to limit themselves by some, let's say, um, some beliefs from the past, especially carried out by their parents. Of course, kids are very influenced by their parents, so the
True.
parents need to also need to be aware that in order for their kids to succeed in life, they need to allow them to make their dreams true without pushing them, because this was also mentioned earlier. Pushing the students is of course necessary sometimes to push them to the right direction, to push them to activate themselves and chase their dreams, make them reality by using, let's say, a certain procedure. So today, school needs to motivate students to work efficiently and effectively. On the other side, we don't. It's a very bad thing, and we need to avoid this, even as parents, also to push our kids, and of course as teachers, to push the kids to some directions that we believe it's the best for them. So, in order also to make them shine in an entrepreneurship world, and the ones who make their own business tomorrow or whatever, we need to set them free, to free their mind, and to make them think like, I'm going to change the world. I can do everything. Everything is possible. This is the mindset that the kids of tomorrow need to have, and to not limit their minds, as we probably did,
Mhm.
because our parents of the last century
Yeah.
um, were, were taught by their parents to be like that. Or, for instance, in Greece, there was a major trend, I would say, in the 80s. The parents would like to see their kids having a job in the, like,
Medical
in
or
the
law or something.
exactly, something like this, or to become a civil servant,
Yeah.
which means, of course, this is a permanent, how to say, permanent job. Uh, but this is not the case. When we want to grow kids and make them capable of dealing with entrepreneurship, which is a very, not so easy world always. Sometimes it's easy, but it has some difficulties. So the kids need to learn how to deal with difficulties in life in general in order to, you know, have this and create this entrepreneurship mindset as well.
Yeah, you haven't convinced, to be honest. Okay, so a final question for both of you. So just some closing remarks, some takeaway points, or maybe what do you hope that education will look like in 20 years, let's say? Which principles should we adopt to close off the podcast?
Okay, me personally, I think that it's going to be a lot of AI driven, and so AI will be, of course, the curriculum, but maybe it will be also used in uh, pursuing, the whole educational process in a different way that we can think right now. This is one thing that I can think of surely. Um, and in general, I would say that my guess is that more high-tech things are going to be included in the curriculum for
Mhm.
the next 20 years.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That's true, and it should be so. Dimitri, we would
Yeah,
like to hear your opinion.
yeah. Of course, as generations pass by, learning becomes even more continuous. So, our parents maybe stopped at, secondary school, or and after that they stopped at university. Now we are all forced somehow to do, masters and PhDs in order to stay ahead. So I think that in 20 years from now, of course, education would be more continuous and lifelong, and maybe more personalized. And it doesn't stop at graduation. And I totally agree with Dionysius that it's going to be AI driven. So maybe one of the essential skills that we would require is, somehow ethical reasoning, because
Yeah, that's very
yeah,
important. And
yeah,
it drives the entrepreneurial mindset as well, I would say.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, so that was very interesting discussion. Thank you both for accepting the invitation, and I hope that we will make our audience learn something about entrepreneurship. So yeah, thank you once again for being with me.
Thank you, Constantine, and congratulations for the initiative for the podcast.
Of course, thank you.
Yes, of
So,
course. Thanks very much. It's been a great experience also to be here with you and discuss these wonderful things.
oh, of course, pleasure is all mine. So, and to our audience, thank you once again for attending this episode of the Lounge Lab, the Skilla podcast, and stay tuned for more.